Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Roughly a Quarter podcast with high quality discussions of low quality audio. Today, joining us on the podcast, we have me, myself, Ronan Thompson. We have Alex.
Yo.
We have Junming.
Wait, what up?
We have Shawnathan, who's just joined us from Hong Kong.
Yeah, hello.
And our special guest today, personal, very close friend of ours, Taj. Introduce yourself, Taj.
Good morning. My name is Taj, aka FlixPrimeV2 on Twitter, because the original one got banned. I like playing video games. I also like learning Photoshop and After Effects.
Nice.
All right,
That's
mate.
a
Take over
pretty
our
nice
podcast
introduction.
if you want.
Okay.
But yeah, today, what are we going to talk about today, boys? How's uni life going for everyone? Because I feel like that's a good thing to talk about, considering you're finished now, aren't you, Alex? And
Yeah.
you're coming up to finishing, Sean. And
Yeah,
I presume
just
Taj as well.
it's like a week left.
Oh, Taj is done. Taj is done.
Taj, you done as well? Okay,
Yeah,
so
I'm done.
So,
Yeah.
how's uni life been for you? How's uni life treated you this year?
Hey, Taj, you go first.
It was a pretty good year for me all around because I feel like it gave me more flexibility and more easygoing to be at home and to do my classes and stuff. I know some people prefer, to be on campus and experience being with
Social life and
teachers,
stuff, yeah.
being face-to-face learning, right? But for me, I preferred, the stay-home kind of thing. But
Yeah.
obviously, because of all the things happening in Hong Kong, like the protests and all that, my campus wasn't open for very long. So for whatever chance that I did get to go to campus, I enjoyed it because I met some new people, made some new friends. So overall, pretty positive experience of the year.
Yeah, feelings
I mean,
for me.
I feel like
Yeah.
everyone, especially those who studied in Hong Kong, which is you and Taj, they're similar experiences. You had the coronavirus and the protests, kind of preventing a lot of in-school studying going on.
Yeah, in fact,
Mhm.
it kind of made us study from home for, I would say, 7 months? Because I've been doing this since November.
Yeah, something like that, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Pretty
Alex, did you end up
crazy.
having exams? Did your school end up giving you exams?
We had
stuff?
exams, but it was pretty different. And so what they would do, right? It was kind of an exam. There'll be a time limit and everything, but it's more of like a self-assignment. And since they can't prevent people from cheating, right? Because they're at home, it was open book. But they made it so that even if it was open book, you would still need to try
You
pretty
still need
hard
to
get it.
critically think, yeah.
Yeah, you have to use your brain cells. So they wouldn't give you multiple choice and all that nonsense that you could just easily cheat and stuff. But speaking
Or
of
you could collaborate with someone else.
yeah, but speaking of tests and stuff, if people haven't noticed, from what I haven't noticed at least, I sometimes forget that the education system just varies. Like for example, me and Taji we're studying in Hong Kong, but we have Sean who's studying in UK. Ronan, you're going to study in UK soon, and Jaming he's studying.
The prime example is I mentioned that you and Taj are finished, but Junming's barely scratched the surface, I feel.
Middle of it,
Like
I would
he's-
say.
middle of it, yeah.
Half a year in.
So wait,
Halfway in.
how has the Malaysian education system handled this kind of situation, Jaming?
I mean, for university-wise, I can say it's actually really pretty good compared to secondary and primary and all. Because for us, despite all this corona situation going on here, our campus is shut down as well, just I'm pretty sure all around the world, or at least in most parts of it. So, in a sense, they set up really well. The online learning system is quite good, although I do say I quite miss the interactions we have, like the physical interactions in class, where we get
Of
to do
course,
group
yeah.
discussions with our friends, meet new people, and just getting problems solved just seems much easier in a physical context than to be doing things online.
It feels much more easy.
I mean,
to
this is
explain
coming
things
from a
face-to-face.
star student who's always aced everything he's ever gone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it that
Bro,
way, but-
man, this business test was so hard, man. I don't think I got anything right.
Gets A star, gets 99%.
Wait, Sean, how about you then? How is it like in the UK then, learning there?
That's pretty good. I mean, definitely different from middle school in a number of ways, but in the end, because for my course at least at my uni, the first year doesn't count to the final grade. So the coronavirus, the only thing that it really affected was the fact that I couldn't attend the labs, I couldn't go to the lectures and interact, but it didn't affect my grade at all. And so You guys have exams, right? If I'm not wrong.
Kinda.
Yeah.
I didn't. Mine
Yeah.
got cancelled.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, we have a thing called a formative assessment. So where it's basically they'll give you a paper, and it's really up to you to decide whether you want to do it or not. So the day they release it, you have 7 days to give your answers in, and they'll give you feedback. So if you don't do it, yeah, fair enough, whatever. But if you do it, you get feedback. They'll tell you what you
You
did
get-
wrong, what
you
you did
get-
well.
Oh, so there's no
They'll
credit, but it's
do
more
it
for
as
like.
There's no
a-
credit.
Fair
There's
enough.
absolutely no
I never
credit.
thought I'd hear that.
There's absolutely no credits.
I mean,
and it
I
will
feel
not
like
be
I feel like that's really beneficial because like
Yeah.
if it's not being graded, there's no harm, no foul in just checking it out, see what you can get.
Free learning.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Free learning, exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
Free
I would
feedback.
feel kind of guilty if I didn't do it. Not gonna lie.
Same, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
So I'm speaking.
come to think of
Yeah.
it, right? You know how a lot of us, when we mention about our uni life, we compare it to the middle school life, and sometimes even primary school life, right? So what do you guys feel like the main difference?
Just saying, guys, middle school is like primary to Form 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1, 2 junior years basically.
So,
Yeah.
what do you guys feel like are different compared to middle school for us in uni? Like the focus, is it all about the grades, or is it more focused on actually getting knowledge into you? Because my perspective on this, like so far in uni life, I feel like the lectures and the things they teach you are actually more intended for you to actually learn instead of based on grades, and grades only. So what do you guys
Agreed.
think?
Oh, of course, because it's like this is like the transition between like childhood to almost adulthood, sort of like real life experiences. It's like taking you from like the high school student that you were into like something that will be able to contribute to like a workforce in the future. So of course, it's going to be
Yeah,
something
because you have to
that,
be-
like,
you have to be
prepare you
quite-
for like the
you have
real
to
life
adapt.
experiences.
And
Yeah.
that's what you need to kind of try to prepare you for. For example, for my course, instead of in like secondary school where if you did a paper, there's only one answer, and if you didn't get that answer, you simply got it wrong. For here,
Right.
for uni, if you
So-
there's no completely right answer, because not even they know what the completely right answer is. So
Mm.
they accept multiple answers, and the way they grade it is, you know how I'm gonna refer to like the science A level papers here, but if you saw 3 marks, you instantly know you have to give up 3 points or 3 answers. For uni, it's more in how you answer it, like how detailed and how relevant it is, instead of kind of
So, like,
matching to the
quality.
marking scheme, which I think is
Quality.
quite nice.
Yeah.
But there's one drawback is that there's no marking scheme. If you do the past papers, you don't know if you're correct. That's one drawback I find with it.
Yeah,
I feel
that's
the
a
main
good point.
difference between like uni and like high school is high school you're competing to go to uni. Uni you're competing for a lifestyle.
Right.
That's a pretty.
It doesn't really feel like you're competing, though. Honestly,
I mean, maybe not competing, right? But like the main goal after uni is a lifestyle. The main goal for high school is to get into uni.
Yeah, I agree
at
on
least
that.
from my perspective. At least from my perspective.
I agree on that. And just back on the grades and stuff, honestly, I felt like uni it was just much easier to get good grades in compared to high school. And I think the obvious reason is like what Sean said earlier, just because that there's multiple answers and it's about the skill more than the knowledge. I guess I think that's not the right way
I
to
would
phrase
also
it.
feel
But
that
yeah.
yeah, you finish first. I'll let you.
Yeah,
Finish.
yeah, okay, thanks. It's okay. But yeah, it's more of if you know what you're doing, they're gonna grade you high. Like, for example, if you do a course where they're teaching you the basics of academic writing, if you know how to write academically on a basic level, of course they're gonna grade you high. They're basing the marks on what you have learned and how well you've applied your learning more than in high school where I feel as though if you make a mistake, it's
Yeah,
over.
like, that's it. Like there is no coming
No.
back from it.
Coming
Like
back, yeah.
mistakes are more punishable because you have your grade boundaries and which you still have in uni, but like the thing is in high school, marks are much more heavier
Yeah.
than
It's like
in
we
uni.
study as if just for the marks, not for the knowledge.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Agreed.
definitely. Because you want the grade in order to get more knowledge, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because the thing with uni is that the grades start coming in once you start actually understanding and learning.
Mm.
You're not, it doesn't feel robotic. It makes you think, and that's fun. It's energizing. It really is. I
Actually,
really
it's
like
true.
that.
It's like these assignments and everything, they come at a time when they feel like you've learned enough for you to be able to, participate within that assessment and stuff.
Yeah.
So
But the
I
thing
think
is-
that's quite effective.
But the thing is, it's not all just like sunshines and rainbows. Because in my opinion, uni is punishing in its own way. It's like if you don't start learning from the beginning, you're never going to catch up. Compared
Yes.
to high
Yes,
school,
you
I
can-
feel
Yes.
like you catch up.
It's as if it's like survival of the fittest, because
Yeah.
unlike
Mhm.
in like high school or middle school, right? If you encounter a problem, you can just raise up your hands or just contact the teacher. And in a small class of about, let's say, average of 20 to 30 people, chances are you will get your question solved immediately. But in uni, it's like I realize 70 to 90% of work is all up to yourself. So if
Yeah,
you're not
independent
putting your
learning.
work into it, if you're unable to step up your own game in layman's term, then it's a place where you will get beat up quite quickly.
Okay, maybe not beat up.
Like not the physical
Yeah.
beat up, but then you'll feel like the workload or the courses.
It'll
will
be
start
challenging,
piling on you
let's
quite
just say that.
fast. Yeah.
That's pretty much it for that. But I want to compare more because, geographically, the education system should be different. So, for example, Jinming, you have a lot of experience when it comes to changing education systems. So, was there anything that whenever you went from either Malaysia to Hong Kong or Hong Kong to Malaysia, was there anything that just made you like, well, I'm gonna have to get used to the way that they do things here? Was there anything like that?
Definitely a lot. But if I were to draw main comparisons, right, it would be more fair to draw a comparison between high school life, because this is where I've spent 3 years each on 2 countries, in the Malaysian system and in Hong Kong. But generally, I'll put the one thing they do have in common is that we are all fighting for the grades. It's like among 10 people, right? 9 of us are studying because for the marks. It's hard for us to care about the knowledge first, because our priority goes, we need to just memorize
yeah.
this thing like factory robots, basically.
I feel like that's pretty universal.
Yeah.
Like within the high schools
It's like
to
that's
like
one
fight for the
flaw,
game.
Yeah.
you know? It's like we're treated like
I
factory
feel like
robots.
also like considering the competitive nature of Hong Kong, in general,
Yeah.
I feel that also
Oh.
plays a huge part.
That's
Hong Kong,
insane.
like, isn't Hong Kong like statistically the most competitive place for uni places in
Yes.
the world? I've read something
considering
like
the
that.
fact it's like a small city with like
It's
so
a-
many
it's a
people
small
trying to
city
fight
with
for, like the top universities.
Three very
within
top
the-
universities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the
like, everyone is
Korean
working on their ass.
equivalent of I think the MCAT? It's pure memorization. Like you can say, in the A level it's also a lot of memorization, but there is somewhat element of learning. Like
Application.
there's somewhat application in those ones. At least if you see their English exams, right? Holy moly, it is. There's been videos where they have English people doing it, English
Oh, yeah.
teachers even, and they're like, "What is this?"
They have
You
no
know,
clue. Yeah.
They take this as a second language.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm.
what the heck? I really recommend you guys look at it because it's
So-
actually insane.
But then
Is it like they
this
brute force it?
It's a lot of things, like it's more like brute force memorizing it, and then it's like, how this is where I want to bring like the comparison between the Malaysian system and the Hong Kong system as well, right? Or to be fair, we did more in the UK system because of A levels and all. But
Oh yeah.
by the time we did get to A levels, right, and the equivalent of A levels in Malaysia is an exam we call STPM. From
Okay.
what the minimum knowledge I know about it, right, is that firstly, there's way more subjects in STPM to do, like more compulsory subjects. Whereas in A levels, I feel like it was the perfect balance because you chose your own 3 to 4 subjects and you focus on it throughout your 2 years, being AS and A levels.
Mm.
So all your focus
Arguably
goes-
even IGCSE as well.
yeah, even IGCSE to the extent. And then we spent all the time just focusing on those subjects, and then a lot of it towards the end, it felt like more on knowing how to analyze and apply your knowledge rather than having to memorize it. For example, Ronan, Taj, Alex, and I, we did business studies, which is a subject where it's difficult not because of
fond
the
memories.
theory, but you need to know how to apply it and evaluate different scenarios. So it's not something we can just memorize and get through, And then, if I bring it, yeah,
Honestly,
beg to
that could
differ,
just
if
be-
I'm honest.
for that one specific subject. Other things like other subjects that require a bit more memorization to to in order to get the
Like
marks for
science subjects and
application.
the math subjects.
Is like math and
Yeah.
like some other things like formulas and stuff.
But then, like,
Oh,
my
what
main,
about physics?
my main point is just that when you get to choose your own subjects like that, right? You're more focused in it, so it's also
Yeah,
in a
that's
sense
true.
For
less
sure.
of a memorizing. Whereas in Malaysia, the STPM, right? There's a lot of compulsory subjects where you have to pass in order to successfully graduate.
But it's like DSE, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something like
DSE, you have to take
yeah.
LS and Chinese.
Well, I
mean,
just
Chinese
realized
and
we're
stuff.
all A levels,
We're all
so that we
GCE,
can really
yeah.
make
Yeah.
the comparison between
can't really make the
our
comparison to
A-levels and
DSE.
DSEs.
We should have got Edwin or Arslan or something on the podcast.
Yeah, we needed them.
Generally, like in terms of like staggering differences, there's not too many. The only thing that really came as a culture shock for me initially was just how much more competitive people in Hong Kong were. Just like you said, it's a culture there.
hmm
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like as we said, when you have no, maybe not 7 million. I mean, how many? I'd say okay, hundreds of thousands of kids vying for the same few university spaces at the same time. It's going to get competitive.
Yeah.
Hmm,
And
yeah, for
most
sure.
people in Hong Kong who are like studying in Hong Kong are looking to continue studying in Hong Kong. It's not like
yeah.
everyone is looking to study
Yeah.
abroad. Like they have the
Yeah, not many
financial
people
means
use
to do
Hong Kong
that.
as a stepping stone.
I mean,
So
a
like
lot of-
everybody who's like most people within Hong Kong locally who are studying in Hong Kong are looking to study in like the top Hong Kong universities.
we did have a lot of peers who wanted to move overseas, though. if you
Yeah,
think
but
about
we
it.
I
were
know, but, like,
we were an anomaly.
Consider
I'm
us
pretty
as like
sure.
an international school, basically.
I'm pretty sure the split
like-
our year was an anomaly. Like 'cause
really.
this year, for instance, for my sister's year, it's like 30-70%. We were nearly 50-50.
Mm,
Like there's
Yeah, I
70%
thought we were
study
less.
locally or internationally.
guess we got quite the special year, huh?
In fact, I remember that one of the first years that I came in, there was only one A level.
Oh wow.
It was called
Wait, sorry, there's
6G.
only one what?
There was only one A level class, I think, and I think it was called 6G
Oh wow.
for like GCE. So I mean, like, it's definitely different. Like, it's definitely changed a lot.
Speaking of on the topic of education systems, you know, I never understood. I never understood like why some people would have to restart the whole program because they came from a different education system. Like why? Like why is that thing?
What do you mean?
Care to reiterate? Yeah, like reiterate a bit
Okay,
the whole.
Here's a good
system.
example. Okay, oh yeah. So I mean, it's like, for example, you have that one friend who's like a few years older than you, but they're in the same year as you, and that reason is because they came from a different country because they had a different education system.
See who you're talking about, right? Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Like, why
I
is
mean,
that
technically
thing?
that was me.
I mean, why can't we? Do we not have the choice to?
Well, I feel it's
say-
hard. It's hard to like establish where you should fit when there's nothing to compare. You can't compare one system that's completely different to another
it's
system. There's
totally-
no,
It's
there's
not
no
that
middle ground.
it's not
Yeah.
that it's totally different, but it's how do you compare like one grading system with another?
Yeah, because I feel
Yeah.
like think about it this way: like in Form 4, right? We were doing IGCSEs, but in America, the fourth year would be the first year of high school. So they'll have different, you know.
Yeah, there's
I think it is. But like, yeah, it'll be different things for them to do. It's a bit difficult to compare them like that.
Yeah, you guys have a point there, but shouldn't people at least have the choice to be like, hey, give me? Shouldn't they at least get a chance?
I
Right.
feel like in terms of
I
chance,
mean,
I
it's
would put it
depending
like
on their capabilities,
Yeah.
whether they would be able to handle that year
I
that they're
wouldn't say
going to
give them the
want to
choice,
maybe
but-
go into.
I would say give them an aptitude test or some sort, like touch,
Yeah,
measure.
give them a test,
Yeah.
and if
I
they
don't think they get
satisfy it,
testing.
then it's possible.
They don't even get testing, right?
Well,
It's just
like
I'm pretty sure they
like
do.
lower primary or like
Now,
to
this
like
is-
kindergarten to like primary school. How did you guys like get tested into doing that? Were there any tests for you?
Actually,
I'm
if we're
sorry,
gonna talk about
I didn't
like,
hear.
on Alex's scenario, right? That's the experience I had when I first came to Hong Kong. Because having come from a completely different system, right? I did indeed have to go through a test before I was accepted into IGCSE. Because if you guys remember, I came in middle of Form 3 instead of starting the whole school year again.
Oh yeah, you were core for the first few months, weren't you?
Yeah,
Like core maths. And
Yeah.
stuff.
for math. And
I still remember that day.
I still remember how I was tested, right? Was instead of testing me on like I would say subjects that you guys were taking, I was given a really generic paper, a sheet of paper, right, for English, math, and Mandarin Chinese, where I had to just do the so-called exam, right, and then they'll see where my capabilities at. So
Wait, was this at the secondary school?
it was when I entered
Yeah, yeah.
YMCA, like first
three.
time. Form 3.
Hmm.
So, in a sense, I guess that's like when what you say of giving a chance. Like they give me a chance to test if I'm ready to just cut in like that, you know. But at the same time, and this comes to a flaw I'm talking about in the education system as well, right? Is that certain things can get too rigid. Because for me, who have mainly spoken Mandarin up to that point of my life, right? So I expected to like enter for, let's say, first language Chinese class in Hong Kong. But because of the fact that I wasn't local and that I came from an exam system that didn't, like the language of teaching wasn't in Mandarin. So I was only allowed to do up to the elementary level of Chinese, which I'm way overqualified for because I'm already really fluent in the language. So I feel like there's some limitations to testing as well, and there needs
Did
to
you
be
get the-
less bureaucracy, I would say.
Story making.
But then again, you
where
did
had to-
join
where
in
you
the
were
middle of the
generating cards.
year.
Yeah, you join in the middle. It's a bit hard to.
It's a little difficult to like.
Yeah, they can't
Before
exactly. Like, it's unfortunate, but they can't exactly make exceptions.
Yeah.
Well,
in a
I think
sense,
this is as good as
that's
it
a bit of a
gets.
scoot. Like, it's a bit of a rare case because people rarely join half a year like that.
Yeah.
Okay, honestly,
Did
I
Nicholas
think
join during half the year as well? Like in Form 2?
I don't know. I don't
Who
remember,
did?
but
I don't know. I think so. Like Nicholas or Arso. I think someone joined in the middle of the year.
Might have
Yeah,
been
but-
Arsenal. Oh, he's Arsenal. Oh no,
It was Arso?
I can't.
I was also,
Arsenal.
I remember, because
Oh,
I
yeah,
would be
'cause
like,
he's my
also.
No, because he's in my Form 2 English class.
yeah, I mean that was a good time. But anyways, nah, I think I remembered something. Yeah, I remember now. I just want to go back on, you know, how the fact you robots thing that we discussed earlier, memorizing things. I feel as though that links to a point I had in my head, which was, yeah, we learn so many things robotically. At the same time, the things that we try to learn not robotically, are they even applicable sometimes? Like here, I'll give you guys a good example. Okay, so I had English literature as one of my classes, right? And
Unlucky.
now once I graduate, now I think to myself, what the crap am I supposed to do with the information of understanding how somebody tried to kill themselves in this novel?
Well, personally, I feel like you don't learn like English.
Yeah.
The content of English literature, you don't learn. You learn the structure of writing English literature. Like
Did you took English literature?
I
didn't
took
you?
English literature a year and then I dropped it because I'm sorry.
Yes,
I would like.
How was
I just I don't want to do
it's
that.
a story from another.
A bygone
So
era.
do you take like what you learn or like this like did you learn the structure well enough that you like wanted to or you had to apply to your own writing or what was
I
that
mean,
like?
I don't write that much. I write lyrics sometimes, but like I feel like I took some of the things that I learned in English literature and applied them to my writing. Maybe my writing's not very good, so you can't probably tell that much. But
Okay, I'm gonna sound
I
a bit.
feel like I do.
I'm gonna sound a bit hypocritical, because actually the hardships I went through for English literature did help me a lot in my academic writing in uni. But the point I'm trying to make is, but the point I'm trying to make is how do I say this? I wish that the subjects you learn in high school, they could
Be more
I guess-
applicable to real life. You mean?
Yeah, I think that's a better way to say it, because like uni is still education, right? And of course, if I learn something from this education, I'm gonna be able to apply it to this new piece of education, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm literally doing something called academic writing. For sure, English literature is gonna boost me a bit, but I want more things that teach me more about life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not really
Mm.
teach me about life, but help me in life.
Help me in life.
Home-
Like life
home
skills,
economics-
life skills. Yeah.
We had this class in secondary school called home economics. Great class. It was about cooking, and there would be some very few times where there'd be some side things like, oh, first aid
Yeah,
and blah
she would
blah.
teach us taxes.
Yeah.
I thought that was really
economics is
good.
Great. Yeah.
We need more of that in like schools everywhere, because that is rare. That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The reason we had that
Mhm.
is our teacher volunteered to do that at the school, self-funding the class completely. That is crazy.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. I'm really grateful for
This
that.
reminds me, has anyone else here heard of the song called Don't Stay in School by
Yes,
Boy in a
yes.
Band?
No, I was just gonna refer to that.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what he says
Don't
as
Stay in
well.
School by who?
Boy in a Band.
Boy in a Band.
Well, that song's a
Boy in a
classic.
Band.
Yeah.
I
I
don't know.
mean, I haven't heard of it. I've seen
It's
it in
on
like my
YouTube.
recommendation here and there, but I never listened to
Because,
it.
like, for me, there's a lot of points I agree that he draws out, you know? It's like, when a lot of people see the title Don't Stay in School, right? They jump the gun and say, you're telling our kids not to stay in school. Like, that's bad. Education is important and all, right? But I feel like the message behind it is like, there's just some subjects and topics, right, that at that point in life feels like it's just taught solely for the grades and just not applicable in real life.
For sure.
Yeah, but some
Uh,
people, they like, if you mention these points to like certain people, then it's gonna be like they're gonna take it as like, oh, you're criticizing the education system. You know, you should just stay in school.
It
and
is a
continue doing what
critic.
you're
It
doing.
is a
criticism.
critic.
I mean,
we
we're
are
criticizing it, but we're only like mentioning points where, as if like, so it's like something that people can take and maybe look towards improving it for, you know, down the line. As like we're bringing it up as like constructive criticism points, not so much to just, you know, hate on
I
the
mean,
school
that's
No,
system.
something
it's-
that,
yeah,
that
it's-
wouldn't make too much sense either, of course. But I
Yeah.
feel like it's more of like we're looking at what we experienced through, and then we feel like if this was done differently, it might have been better, you know, instead of us just having to
Mm.
study from 9 to 5 every day minimum, and then among that, there's a lot of subjects where we're doing it not because we enjoy it, or nor because we're learning something new
Because
from it.
it's part of the schedule.
It's
and you
part of the
must stick to
schedule,
the
and we're
schedule.
just
Right.
doing it so we pass. And then the moment we pass, we just throw all the knowledge away and we're like, whoops, sorry, didn't actually learn anything. I just did it to do it.
I think a good example of that is actually not directly referring to your point, but an example of, I would say, a waste of a subject would be physical education. Not because I don't want to exercise, right? It's because what they could have done with the subject. Okay, because
Mm,
from our school experience at least, because I could be completely wrong about physical education, but from our experience, it was as simple as you play a game of this sport and it rotates every week, and you learn a bit of the sport. Okay, you're
Mm.
learning about the sport. That is somewhat physical education, but they could have taught us much, much more, and they could have made the subject a compelling subject. For example, tell us what parts of the body we should stretch, or how to prevent muscle sprains, or how to have good dieting. That would be a great thing to have in physical education, right? Because not only does that translate into life, but it makes the students more healthier. You know, the students are busy with studying, right? So why
Mhm.
don't they orienteer
You know,
it in a
introduce
way
some things to, you know, help reduce stress in terms of like
while
exercising
studying?
your body
Yeah,
or like
that's
eating
the point I was
diets and
going to
stuff
meet.
like
Like, on one hand, you could tailor the subject to try and reduce stress, but making it more focused might in fact do the opposite thing. Like
Yeah, but-
people who realize, oh, now suddenly I've got more on my plate, even though it, like, quote unquote, it's a useless subject, it's not examined on.
Okay, but at that point,
It still might add to the plate. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I definitely. But at that point, it depends on the students and the teacher.
That's
The
true.
teacher for making the course fun, interesting,
would you
and not too
guys-
difficult.
classify
And
as a useless subject.
Well,
useless subject.
I didn't mean to say useless. I meant to say not examined on.
Like, quote
I
unquote.
know. I
the
mean, like, I
stereotypical-
understood that, but like
Yeah.
in school, surely there are some things that you felt were like unnecessary to the rest of the courses
Okay.
that you were studying.
Like, for
English.
me,
Physical education.
my point of view, no
Sorry,
subject
what?
is useless. It's just that I feel like no subjects should be compulsory.
Well, I'd say
that's a good
music,
point.
because the only thing we ever did in music was we made
Grease.
Foundation. We made Foundation.
Foundation.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
Foundation is
like-
awesome, bro. It's funny as hell.
We should make
The
that
one
the
thing
intro.
that I gained from music class was Miss Chow introduced me to Gorillaz, and that's it. That's all I gained from music class.
The
I
only
mean,
thing
that's more the
notable
class
for me
itself
from
and not
music
the
class was
subject,
trying to
but
carry Ronan's performance in Radioactive in Form 1.
It was,
my
it was the
gosh.
best performance of all time.
I mean,
I sang so loud I covered your voice.
Yeah.
You're saying,
I mean,
you're-
to be fair, actually that introduced me to Arctic Monkeys as well, so I'll give that as well. But like, yeah, I felt music was the least important subject for me.
I just want to go back onto Junming's point, right? And what I was thinking was, I think the idea of all subjects should not be compulsory is kind of dangerous. Because as much as I hate maths, I'm not gonna lie, I think learning maths to a degree is important. Like at least you learn maths for
Basic maths.
10 years. Yeah, like everyone needs basic maths. I'm not gonna lie, maths is important to life because you need the basics. But then once you get to arithmetics and whatever, you can just drop it. You can go. That's for those who.
Arithmetics.
Wait, is that even math? Am I
I
stupid?
think you need arithmetics, my man.
Wait, am I being stupid?
I think you're talking about algebra.
What?
Algebra.
Yeah, arithmetics is literally
God.
just maths with real numbers.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of algebra.
My bad.
Yeah, algebra with like algebraic equations and stuff. That's fair.
Okay, thanks for correcting me. But yeah, as I was saying, because at that point when it's like algebra or, okay, I'm not gonna list anything in math related because I'm gonna butcher it. But your juice, that's for those who enjoy it. That's for those who actually want to pursue a career related to that, and they actually just love the subject. A good example is the actual physical education, the one that's an elective. Honestly, that was pretty proper. I wish I had that as a compulsory course instead of what we had, which was playing maybe football, but with a twist. You use your hands to hit the ball instead. I don't know.
That's just handball, mate.
Yeah.
That's just handball. But you know what I mean.
That
Yeah.
brings me to this, right?
You have to be 16 years old to score a goal.
Yeah. This brings me to this one question, right? If you guys had the power, right, to change one thing or a few things of the system, what would it be? Because like for me, I talked about how no subjects should be compulsory, right? But then like after I heard Alex's point, it's like I would like to rephrase it to be that I feel like the subjects that are compulsory, like math, science, and everything, right, should be like up to a basic level, just to like test if you have interest in it. And then from then on, like he said, the more advanced stuff, right, is what you take as an elective. Because I'm gonna drag it back a bit to like the Malaysian system, right, where we actually have history, geography, and then like we have this thing like civic studies and moral studies and everything as compulsory subjects to pass, which I feel like most of the people did not enjoy at all. We're just doing it for the pass, right, to pass it. And then, so if I had the power to change something, it would be to just introduce each subject at a really basic level. And then once you get to the more advanced part, right, it's up to the students to choose whether or not they want to pursue it. What would you guys think and do if you had the power to change something?
I don't know, I feel like
I'm
it's just-
thinking. Okay, so I was thinking that they basically sort of do that in most schools anyway. Like from Form 1 to Form 3, before you like split off into your branches, you guys are given like the option, or you guys were studying like integrated science. Like that's a very basic level of science that people are like. It's mandatory to take it. Yeah, but if you find it interesting, then obviously you go and pursue with that. But I would, if I had the power to change anything, honestly, I would give students more options in terms of what they want to study and pursue. Because I would say the biggest sort of like the drawback for our school, or like YMCA compared to others, is that we didn't have the variety of like of subjects that other schools offer. So like
yeah.
because I see like if you want to apply for a certain course, because I want to study computer science down the line. So the course is required like for you to pass to like get within those requirements is like you could have an A at like computer science offered by like the exam boards like at Dexel and Cambridge, but our school didn't offer that, so they had to provide other options like get an A in math, stuff like that. I would just give students more options to figure out what they wanted to do, or like to figure out what they wanted to pursue.
Makes sense, yeah. Give the people in charge of their learning what they want to learn.
Right, because if you started at like the point that you started at like high school, then basically by the time you get to uni, you pretty much already figured out what you want to do in the line you
Yeah,
want
that's
to go
true,
into.
yeah. So you're saying allow students to focus their studies much earlier.
Yeah, I want to build onto that point real quick because from what it sounds like, because I feel as though uni is like the spot where people start exploring. By doing what Todd said, you're making the exploring really start at secondary, which is really good. But at the same time, can't give too much freedom. So if I were to make, because I like his point, so I'll have for me, it would be pretty much what Taj said, except I wouldn't give them the full autonomy. I think somebody should be guiding them. They need guidance in making the decision. They should be
because
well
what if someone
informed. They should
what
have
if someone
sessions.
regrets? What if someone regrets on down the line?
Yeah,
Like,
some
oh man, I
people-
wanted to do this instead.
That's
Like
inevitable.
the thing is, some people excel more under rigid structure than they do like free flow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because everyone's different. And so
Exactly, everyone's
yeah.
different.
there's never going to be one system that helps every single person.
In my opinion, I feel as though regret is just inevitable when it comes to your choices in subjects.
Life.
It's gonna
I think
happen.
regret's inevitable in life.
Yeah. So and school's part of life, right?
Opportunity
So it's
cost.
inevitable. Yeah, opportunity cost. Yeah. So Ronan, do you have anything you want to change?
Really? Do I have anything I want to check? No, because I consider my like. This will sound really. This will sound like I'm
Snobby.
looking at it through rose tinted glasses. Because personally, I felt my educational experience wasn't that bad. You know, I don't really feel like. I haven't. Really, I don't know how to say this. I don't feel like I've experienced enough in a university setting to understand what I'd change from a high school setting. Like, I feel like I don't
you
have the
haven't really
experience to
started
know what a
university, have
different...
you?
Exactly. I don't have the experience to know what a different educational... an educational... What's the word I'm looking for? Method. Because I haven't started university yet. So I don't really know what to compare it to. So I'm still looking at my university, my secondary life with rose-tinted glasses. You know, that went pretty well, you know? That was fun.
And I think
Don't know what university's going to
to
be like.
back up your point, right? I think I could say for a lot of us that we were fortunate enough to have really good teachers that
Yes,
really made the
yes.
studying and learning process a much more of an actual learning thing rather than doing it to pass. They really made us want to do it to gain knowledge instead.
Like, my Form 6 teachers, literally, man, like,
We had good teachers.
But I feel like
great
I
teachers.
feel like that emphasis on like learning for knowledge and not just for the grades came quite late. I would say.
Very
Yeah,
late.
very late.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay,
Sean,
so
how
like
about
it
you?
came in like the last year, like a few months before we had to go off into like a step towards the real world. That's when it started coming into us.
I mean, I feel like the shift in perception came at like when the careers counselor was like, I want everyone to write their personal statements like next week or something. Like, really,
so
really,
that was
really
like a
early
big
on.
shock for all of us, for
Yeah.
people who have never considered doing that.
Yeah.
Or like not even because some people they're like looking for like jobs at part-time jobs at like 16, 17, like when they're legally allowed to work, but others they're like, oh, I'll just focus on my studies.
Especially since like this came in so late to the point where a few people I know, in fact, did not know what they were gonna do at all because they've spent so much focus on just passing and getting good grades. They've lost track of what they want to become and what they want to do in the future, in a sense.
Damn. Yeah, that hit hard. That hits hard, honestly. That can be worrisome to some people. That could cause anxiety, I bet.
Yeah.
Like, imagine having good grades and everything, but now you're like, now what? That's where the panic starts. Oh my
I
gosh,
just
that's
feel like
terrible.
in some competitive systems, this, like you guys said, right, the feeling and the desire to learn for knowledge came quite late because I'm pretty sure, and this is very apparent in Asia, especially. We grew up with the idea that we're studying because we need to get good grades, good job in the future, a lot of money. Therefore, good grades is the first step. So it plants this like idea, like it roots this idea into our mind that, oh my god, good grades, good grades, good grades. That's all a lot of the students think about. And then eventually when this feeling of suspense does come, like you said, the personal statement where we actually have to think about our future, some of us go into a loss because we're like, all this time I've just been thinking about good grades. I have not
Yeah.
spent time
Yeah.
thinking about my future, what I'm interested in learning, what I want to become.
You know what's even worse?
So I feel like if I wanted to add, sort of like the implementation for like these sort of like life skills, I would have started it as early as like choosing the branches you want to go into, like the DSE, GCE thing. I would have started like within that year, starting that year, I would have like implemented the change of, introducing certain skills sets that are required for like the rest of your high school years and start of your university years.
Yeah, stuff
Yeah.
like living and stuff like
And Alex,
arranging
as
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
saying-
paperwork, paying taxes.
Oh yeah, like I was saying, I think even worse. Some people don't get lost, but they trick themselves into picking something that they thought that they wanted to do, and in reality they just don't. They're just doing it because this is what I'm good at. This is what I got the good grades in, so therefore I'm gonna do this. I think that's even worse than being lost. Because at least when you're
Well,
lost, you
I-
realize that you know that this isn't what you truly wanted. Probably you wanted something else, but you can't figure out what that was because you've been so busy with your grades.
I feel like that sums me up perfectly, because up until mid Form 5, I thought, law course was where I wanted to go. And then all it took was for me to spend 5 days in a law firm to realize this is boring as hell. I don't want to be a lawyer. And like if I hadn't done that, I would have spent most of my uni life and most of AS level thinking I have to get good grades to be a lawyer. I have to get good grades to be a lawyer. And
So now that
it
revelation
probably
has
would have
come to
broke
you, what are
me.
you looking to get into?
I don't know anymore. That's the thing. Like, it's just that I know I don't want to be a lawyer anymore.
Anyways, Sean, do you have anything that you would like to change?
I don't know, because it was Form 4 when I really started noticing that past papers were like a godsend to get a quite good grade. So it was since Form 4, every time we had an exam, it'd just be insane past papering sessions. Just keep doing it and remember, and that's all you. It's not like that's all you need to do, but it's really useful. At least to me, it doesn't work for everyone, but it really worked for me. So when I went to uni, I thought, oh, maybe it'll be similar in the way that we learn. It's a lot different, where you don't just remember it for the sake of answering. You remember it because it you learn it, and then you use that to apply to another, like a further knowledge field. Whereas like in A level, it was just, oh, remember this fact and apply it. Okay, done. So
yeah, but
True.
Have you seen this phenomenon? Have you guys seen this phenomenon in university, right? Whenever we're given an assignment, right, or just even a quiz or something that has already been told that it's not going to get graded on, instead of thinking of preparing for it or thinking about the lessons behind it, right? The first thing that people ask, what are the grades going to be like? How is it marked? How many points? What is the marking scheme?
Or like, what's the point of doing it if it's not graded?
Right, that's
Yeah.
a good
So it's
Point.
like, I feel like
Nope.
that's a really bad mindset to have implemented in us throughout the schooling years.
Yeah, the grades are necessary.
Yeah.
And we grew up with that. It's not really our fault.
It's ingrained in our like.
yeah, that's true.
Our
Because the moment
ideology.
it's like, oh,
Honestly-
it's optional. We're like, oh, so how many marks can I get out of this? What can I
Optional
get?
means not useful.
But
Yeah.
honestly, how different is that mindset between high school and university when you consider things like, first class honors, second class honors, and then the recognition that people get from like being higher graded in terms of like a job opportunity?
I actually have my cousin-in-law who told me, you could have the best grades. Let's say you get a first. Imagine the competition you have though. You get a first. Okay, yeah, that's obviously an achievement. But if I were to hire someone, the analogy he made was that if I were to hire someone, right? Okay, let's say you have insane grades. What if you have insane grades but you can't work well in my company? And let's say, oh, I get another guy. Maybe he doesn't have such high grades, but he works exceptionally well in a teamwork setting. He works perfectly. He knows how to communicate. It's the degree and the grade only brings you so far. I think it's a great stepping stone because it really shows that, oh, he probably knows his craft. He's probably like worked his ass off to get this. But whether it gets you a good job is a completely different thing.
I would agree with this a lot because this is a conversation I've had with someone recently, right? Who's told me that if you're too focused on the grades, right, it's hard for you to really accomplish much because what he said was at the end of the day, the degree is nowhere on a sheet of paper. Once you step into the working life, right, what they care about will be your attitude, your working experience. They won't care how smart you were in school. They won't care what achievements you had in school. what they want to see is, okay, are you capable of working well in a team, like you
Working
said?
in my company.
Yeah.
Like, are your grades? Are your is all you have is grades? Like, can
Yeah.
you communicate? Can you work in a team?
Precisely. And the attitude's like, are you someone that we can work with, or are you gonna come with that
Are you just
ego?
gonna be
Like, I'm the
someone who
top of
just
the
spews
world.
out knowledge and
Yeah.
doesn't do anything else?
I feel as though uni does a good job at teaching students how to work in those work environments because they always make us a group of people that we don't know at all, right? And it's like everyone you see in your year, you probably don't know them at all, and it's gonna be like that for every single year. Different people all the
True.
time, just like a workforce. So it's really brilliant that way, the group work. But there is one thing that really, really, at least for me, it hindered greatly my will to learn properly and just made me go back, revert, in fact, to the mindset of just get the good grades. Who cares about what we learned? And that would be online learning. Online learning, for me, for the past 7 months, has been terrible. Yeah, I got good grades, but I don't think I learned squat. Like, it was so bad. It was all about just not giving a damn. Mainly because
I mean, this
you
is the
don't want to
most it
sit in your
felt like
yeah
focusing just on knowledge and no life skills than it's ever been.
yeah because you're just sitting there on your screen, on your computers, in front of your computer screen, and you're gonna have to listen for what 1.5 or even 3 hours of like your professor talking in the screen. There, don't forget that there's also technical difficulties. Then, you know, it's online, so asking for help is not that easy because they're busy with the lecture, and sometimes
Outlets
it's not
are
even
a little
live. It's
harder
not
to reach through.
yeah, it's not even live. Sometimes it's recorded. So if I want to ask a question, I have to go through email.
Oh, so yours are recorded, mine were live.
No, not all of mine were live. Most were live, but some are recorded. The ones that are recorded though, stupid, because I don't want to go to email to ask my professor something. I'm used to the idea of, hey, I can go see my professor whenever. That should be normal. It's like going to see your boss, right? And
Mhm.
you would go to see your boss. I'm not gonna freaking email my boss just for a question.
I
Like, of course
mean,
I'll do that. I mean, you
kind of
can,
do.
right?
I mean, like,
You
Yeah,
can,
no,
you
you can.
can.
No, you do, but no, you do. But what I mean is like, usually you won't have to unless A, you're at home, or B, um, maybe you can't contact, like it's really urgent, or the boss is somewhere else, right? Because usually the face-to-face contact makes things much more easier to understand, and everyone is just more happier that way, in my opinion at least. But yeah, it just really, really screwed with my will to learn. I did not like study properly. I just studied to get grades. Well, how about you guys? Was online learning like really demotivating? Did it make you guys complacent?
From my experience, right, because just like you, a lot of my lectures are actually pre-recorded. In fact, for all three of my subjects, we have pre-recorded lectures, and the actual lecture time is just for discussions and Q&A, right? I want to give like just both sides of my feelings towards this online learning scenario because firstly the demotivation part, right? I definitely felt it because it's just like it's demotivating in the sense that you're staring at a monitor for the whole day. You're just going through PowerPoints through your own monitor, you're listening lectures through your earphones and everything. The lack of social interaction there is just like, and the fact that we're not in a classroom setting, which we're used to, right? Makes it a bit harder to learn. But so far for me, I actually have more positives in this type of learning environment because I realized with this online learning environment, right, a lot of the things we have to learn about are actually requires us to self-study beforehand because now the actual lecture times are used for discussions and Q&As and extra practice instead of teaching you the knowledge on the spot. So it kind of got me into this lifestyle or a habit of going through topics, doing my own research, and learning the materials beforehand, which is something that I would say a student is expected to do anyway. So for me, that's been a really big upside because it's been making me like study more than I would have normally have in a sense. What do you guys think about that? Like for you guys, online learning experience.
Well, for me, I always liked the idea from studying or working from home, Like it just gives you a lot more flexibility in how in the way that you want to learn certain things, like at your own pace and all that. I would say that was my most like the biggest advantage of online learning. But I would say this year, if I was studying at Hong Kong, if I was in Hong Kong studying online learning and all that, then it would have been more like I would say a positive experience than what I'm going through right now, because I like because of the corona, all like flights and international travel got canceled, so I got stuck in the US. So I've been doing all my classes at like a 12-hour time difference. So I would go to sleep at like 6 7 a.m. and then I'd wake up at like 4 p.m. because my classes were at like 3 in the morning until like 7 in the morning with like an hour gap in between. So that obviously hindered some of my learning performance because I was like half asleep. Sometimes it's very hard to focus. So, I mean, if I was doing this in Hong Kong like at 5 p.m. or like 3 p.m. or something, then it would have been a better experience to, be focused and do something that I feel like is better in terms of the way I like to learn things.
That's just inherently unlucky, honestly. But for me, again, maybe it's just my own personal experience and opinion, because I just don't like the idea of associating my work with my home, with my room.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like. It's my safe room, I don't want to.
This is your
I don't-
escape.
Yeah, it's my escape. I don't want to have to think about stuff. I think it goes to my childhood and stuff, like high school and everything. I would get the work done at high school, and at home I just enjoy myself. But now I have to balance enjoying myself, so like playing games, reading a book, going outside, and now I have to stay home all the time studying.
Yeah. I
On
would say
top
it's like,
of trying to find time to enjoy myself, trying to stay
Yeah.
sane.
it gets to a point where you can't even tell are you relaxing or are you stressing for work in your own room anymore, because that is now your only like place. Whether or not you're working, you're relaxing, you're playing, that's like the one same place. So
Yeah.
that's the point. It's hard to differentiate, like, because I'm not sure I can speak for everyone, right? But then, for me, I'm productive at certain times. It just comes to me, and then I suddenly get really.
I'm not trying to devalue your opinion by saying this, Jimming, but I'm wondering if your opinion's gonna change the longer you do this. Because I've been doing it for 7 months. You've been doing it for 3 months?
3 months, yes.
So that's why I'm getting curious. I wonder if it's just maybe the longer this lasts, you might start to see what I mean even more, right? I don't know.
actually do feel like that may be the case, because one thing that's making this online learning experience for me so far, that it makes me feel like it's all right so far, right, is because the topics I'm covering this semester are mainly topics that we've already done before in A levels. So the transition into it was significantly easier, I would say. But because for people like outside of Malaysia, right? Malaysia has just announced that our online learning will continue until the end of the year. Same as the UK, I'm assuming, for a lot of universities.
Some unis, not
Yeah.
all of them.
So I have a feeling like, because next semester is when the new subjects come, like business law, marketing strategies, and everything, So by then, I'm not saying I won't change, but it's likely that some of my
It
perspectives
probably will
on
change.
studying, it won't be as optimistic as I am now.
Yeah. Hey, Sean, how about you? How have you been? Like, where are you on the fence when it comes to online learning?
When they first officially announced that it was all online learning, I was happy because it meant I didn't have to go out to the lectures. And then I thought, oh yes, this is relaxing. All I can do is game, yay! And the first year doesn't count until they released the formative assessments. And then I just felt really bad for myself because I thought, let's say I keep doing this shit. Next year I'm gonna suffer like a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know shit. I'm gonna have to cram like hell. So I tried to tell myself to study a lot more, and I felt that because of this, I actually did study a lot more. Because, unfortunately, my attention span is practically non-existent. In a lecture, if it'll be this amazing topic, but along 10 minutes into it, I'll just zone out, and then he'll be like, "Okay, now that section done." I'll be like, "What? What did you just say?"
Yeah.
But then with the online lectures, because it's all pre-recorded, if I zone out, it's okay because I can go back.
Rewind.
Yeah, I can
That's a
rewind.
good point. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, so that's what I thought, and then uh, and also because it's online, there is I kind of try to convince myself that there is no excuse not to do work because you're at home anyways. You might as well use that time to do something productive. Like you can game, sure, but then you have to strike a balance. At the start of if you listen to my example, please don't follow me. It was the Easter holiday. It was 3 weeks, right? 3 weeks, and they had already announced that all learning was shifted to online. So a normal day for me during that time was wake up, make breakfast, play until nighttime, occasionally work on a project because it's still projects, and then go to sleep. And at the time, I felt I had done nothing wrong. If something happens, meh. But looking back on it, I wish I could slap myself in the face and say, shape up, do shit. You know, you only have yourself to blame if you f up. That was my opinion. And then now that I look back, I'm like, ah, shit, man, I should have done this instead. Because the formative assessments now they're giving it like, oh, they released one today, and they're releasing one 3 days later, and there's so much upon like, what if I had studied that day? What if I had studied more about this particular subject? I feel like I would have done so much better. But yeah, that's a huge regret that I'm just gonna have to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, on top of that as well, you can't also forget that you'll be wasting your parents' money, right? If you just acted all lazy
Yeah,
for the whole year.
Like if my dad found out that I spent 3 weeks just gaming, I think he'd probably kick my ass. So
Oh, when I
hopefully
go
he
home,
doesn't hear
my
me.
ass is already gonna get whooped.
He's gonna spank you after quarantine. Unlucky.
I mean,
Yeah, after
he's in
that
Hong
2 week
Kong
period.
now, so
Oh, he's
Yeah.
already coming with the
I'm
ruler.
pretty much a
Brace for
step closer
impact.
to my death.
the belt's
I didn't-
coming, boy.
How about you, Ronan? I know you haven't had online learning, but from an outside opinion, what do you think?
Personally, I know for a fact that what I'll do, because if I have to do online learning, I will be leaving my house. As in, like, I'll have to find somewhere outside, away from any distractions possible to get any learning done. Because I won't be able to do it in my room. Like, mentally, I don't think I'm like strong enough to differentiate between study time
And playing
work
time.
time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Environment plays a huge role, actually.
Yeah.
Role.
So
But the
I
virus
probably
is
have. The virus would restrict it, yes, but I feel like by the time that I start university, some things will have opened up because that's still 3 months away, and they're already slowly starting to ease restrictions slightly. Granted, slightly, but they're slowly restricting it. And 3 months, you never know what can happen. So that's my idea at the moment. It's still 3 months away. Everything could change. Second wave might happen. Everything gets shut down again, and you never know what might happen. But
Yeah,
as it
it would be
stands,
nice.
as it stands, I really don't want to do online learning, and I really am not looking forward to it at all.
It sounds like you'll be in my shoes, right? Like probably just lazy and like you just hate it, right?
Yeah, man. Like
It's
my
really-
least favorite feeling is demotivation.
True. And that is a
Like,
major
because-
issue with the online learning.
Yeah, I'm just not motivated enough to try. Like even now, I'm not really doing much except like gardening and cooking. But even then, like I'll go, oh, I want to do this today, and then I'll go, but I don't have to do it today. I can do it tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
And then tomorrow comes around, and I go, I don't have to do it today. I
So
have
it's
to do it
just an
tomorrow. And then it's
everlasting cycle of
pretty much.
Fascinating.
procrastination.
And I don't want that to happen when I actually start uni. So I probably have to kick myself out of the house forcefully to actually get any work done.
So, if I would just like sum up everything we've talked about today, right? What would be the ideal learning scenario for everyone? So for me, it would definitely be just pretty much. Maybe I'm still early into uni life, but I feel like the way we learn in uni is pretty much the ideal learning scenario for me, where it's a lot more on your own hard work that you have to put into it. Like you're not spoon fed anything anymore. You have to actually do your own research and actually put effort into it to achieve something, and not just for grades, but for the knowledge and for the future you have in your mind. So what would you guys think is the ideal learning scenario for you?
Well, just a uni experience that's considered normal. Like, how do I actually get to go to campus. That's my ideal situation at the moment.
I think it's interesting that Jimmy pointed out, because at first I was gonna say I wish, because of my A level habits, what I wish they would do is give a marking scheme, and then I can, because it's all I've learned, it's all I know. But then I realized that it actually does not apply to the real world at all. You have to be flexible. You have to move your ass. Like you have to do your own work, and if you don't, you only have yourself to blame. So I wouldn't say that uni is the ideal way, but it definitely is a step closer to actually succeeding in life. I think, if you compared to like A levels, where you just pass paper all day and then you're okay. At least for me. So I don't know what ideal would be, but it be somewhat, maybe a compromise between like past papering and being flexible. That would be mine, I think.
That's pretty interesting. For me, I would say the most ideal would be like similar to gymming. Same idea of just having our normal uni setting. Campus, campus life is really fun, honestly. Just the free roam, it feels like I'm in a video game or something. I don't know. Just free roaming the day, spending my time wisely, getting those skill points. I don't know. It's a pretty silly way to think about it, but that's how I feel, and it's fun. But besides that, I would like more. Maybe it's only because it's my first year. I'm sure I'm gonna get more, but I want to have as much real life practice as possible. Because when I had the most fun in uni was when I had to do a marketing proposal with a bunch of people on like making this online app to do augmented reality clothing, and that was like the most fun I've had with a project. Like we came up with all of that as a group, as completely strangers, and we came out as friends, doing great at the project, and that's fun. It was a proper example, and we actually had to do a lot of research, and it was pretty challenging. I want more of that, and I hope there's more of that.
Actually, sounds
Well,
awesome.
for me,
Yeah.
that actually sounds pretty good, actually. I mean, sometimes the things you take from your school experiences is the people that you've made friends with and the relationships you made along the way. So it would be understandable that you want to be able to do more group interactions and stuff like that.
The real
But for me
prize was the
personally-
friends we made along the way.
Right, because
Right.
if
Mhm.
I didn't know you guys, if I wasn't good friends with you guys, then I wouldn't be here right now. Right. But I'm really glad that, it worked out the way it did. But for me personally, the learning situation, I would say for me, ideal would be a bit of both. Online learning at home for a few days and sometimes on campus. Because I want to be able to take learning into my own hands, because I feel like that would give you the chance to develop your own responsibilities and all that, to take chances from learning at home, where you're prone to, be vulnerable to distractions and stuff like that, more so than, going to a university in a learning setting. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
We have to have mix of
obviously,
autonomy and
campus
traditional.
is a great place to be. I would if the way I would break down the way that you set a balance between the online learning and the campus going is that like the more required it is to be in campus, like the courses, like you can't necessarily do things like, or if you're really confused about certain things like coding or like programming and stuff like that, where it would be better if you were in the teacher's presence. If you get confused and stuff like that, then I'd recommend courses like that to be in person, or some other like basic generic courses like your GE courses, like I don't know, academic writing or something like. Because for me, I had the course English reading and writing. I feel like that could be done at home easily. That wouldn't require me to go to campus as much. So I feel like
Fair
that
enough.
would strike a good balance between the two.
I mean, without further ado, I think we made a lot of great points today, and it was pretty insightful. I learned quite a few things. Like, first of all, I 100% did not know that people had some sort of aptitude test for changing education system. That made me surprised. So that just made my whole point invalid as soon as I said it. Not gonna lie.
Wow.
but besides that,
Straight up debunked your ass.
yeah, honestly, I just got destroyed. I felt a little bit embarrassed. Not gonna lie, I got a bit red, but it's fine. I hope you guys enjoyed the time today. Thanks again, Tosh, for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for
It was fun
having
having
me.
you. I mean, you're a friend.
We'll
so,
have you another day eventually.
yeah,
Probably.
eventually.
You know, what if I'm
And-
like recurring guest?
Oh, I
Wouldn't mind.
mean, I don't know who's the recurring guest and who's the main cast. It sort of rotates, I guess.
I mean, it's too early to
Yeah.
tell, anyways.
it's
we'll
too early to
discuss
tell.
that
We're on
later.
episode 2.
We're on episode 2, guys. Please,
Episode 2, we already defined.
Um,
We're still learning.
where-
We're finding
Yeah.
our path.
Where can you find us? Where can you find this podcast? Even though you're probably
Spotify and
listening right now.
SoundCloud. Oh yeah, why are we advertising the podcast on the podcast?
No, because you gotta do it anyways. Because look, there's gonna be people who are listening on Spotify who'll be like, "Ooh, it's on SoundCloud. I'm gonna listen to it again, but it's on SoundCloud." Whoa.
Whoa.
The added
No,
experience we're listening to
What?
is different.
We'll also be making a YouTube, guys. So be sure to subscribe, like, and
Are
subscribe
we?
there. I think we should. We're making it. Too bad. Okay, we're making a YouTube.
Why?
It doesn't matter
Who's
that he didn't
criticizing?
ask anyone else.
Yeah.
It's just like, too
No,
bad.
no,
It's-
too bad.
It's,
Too
it's
bad.
a learning process.
bad,
We're
Brad.
finding our way. We're finding our way.
So yeah, be sure to follow us on Spotify, SoundCloud, and eventually subscribe to our YouTube. Be sure to provide feedback.
Be sure to hit that notification bell to get notified of all.
Leave a comment down
subscribe.
below for what kind
Leave
of
a comment
topics you
down
want us to
below.
tackle in the next one.
Who won? Who's next?
You decide.
This has been roughly a quarter. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Good night.
Bye bye.